second. Simone,
Yes.
what happened over the weekend? Everybody's in trouble with the law.
Which part? You talking about me getting dumped?
No.
Oh, I did get dumped.
Wait a minute, you got dumped this weekend?
Oh, yeah. It's okay. He wasn't really my boyfriend, but
okay.
I had a good time otherwise. I went to Chicago Black Scene. Oh, right, we back.
Brian, are you back? You're not working.
I bet you have to change your mic. You probably have to change your microphone, Brian.
Mike, Sean, take him off the front stage, please. Work on that. All right, everybody. Be sure to put those red wine emojis in the chat for Simone Redwine. Don't forget, I love a good fax emoji in the chat for me, of course. And Brian is back. Our criminal attorney is back, and he put that briefcase in the chat for Brian. Now. Brian Rawls, did you get it together yet?
Let's check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. We good?
All right, counselor.
All
in
right.
my courtroom.
Sorry about that, y'all. Apologize.
Counselor, in my courtroom, we listen with these and not those.
Yes, sir.
Get that audio together, sir. All right, everybody. We have a great show for you tonight. Court is now in session. First up, Chris Brown. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Chris Brown is being sued for $50 million, or is his security being sued? All we know that Chris Brown and his security are being sued for $50 million. Attorney Simone Redwine, what is going on with Chris Brown? And it was in the state of Texas, which is your state, so I need to know all the laws he broke and how we plan to prosecute him.
Correct. So the lawsuit was filed here in Harris County, which is Houston, Texas. It's been filed by the Busby Law Firm. The Busby Law Firm is known for going after celebrities. They went after the Texans quarterback, Deshaun Watson, at one point for completely frivolous claims, if you ask me. But here, what the claim is that after a party, after a concert or party, that basically Chris Brown and his buddies jumped a bunch of guys and beat them up. Now, I'm particularly curious. What I couldn't tell is if I had not read the entire complaint yet, but if this was security that did this or Chris himself. But from the comments in the article so far, it appears it was actually Chris. And this is one of Chris's many incidents of him beating somebody up at a club, right? It's just that in the past, Chris has been able to cover these up. It's like fisticuffs with Drake or Trey Songz or those kind of people where they don't want to go to court. Now, it seems like these guys are going to try and go for all they can, including one of the 4 alleged victims is still in the hospital.
Now, listen, the criminal attorney, Brian Ross, I need your help with this. I am so confused at how Chris Brown and his legal team are constantly able to avoid any type of prosecution of any sorts. It's quite clear that he has a demonstrated history of violence. Not verbal violence only, but physical violence where he's constantly putting his hands on people. He put it on our favorite Rihanna. He put it on one of our other favorite, Karrueche. She has a restraining order against him. He has multiple allegations about inappropriate sexual behavior and aggressive behavior. He had a meltdown at one of the largest television morning shows that we saw where he busted windows down and ruined a green room. Tell me, Attorney Brian Ross, what is it going to take to get Chris Brown charged and convicted of something at this point?
Well, the words that your viewers need to hear are NPA. NPA stands for non-prosecutorial affidavit. We go back to Rihanna, right? His ex-girlfriend, when he was singing for Wrigley's Gum. Remember that? He was the man, wasn't he? And she was beaten up by him allegedly in a Lamborghini, and she signed an NPA, which says, I don't remember what happened. I don't recall what happened. I don't want to prosecute. The NPA, it's an affidavit signed by the alleged victim, turned over to the prosecutor, and then the case is gone. The theory of law is called corpus delicti. You don't have a body to testify against the assailant, a la Chris Brown, if we're dismissed case. This is what he keeps getting the benefit of. His legal team keeps getting NPAs. Why? Because his insurance or whoever does it, and Attorney Redwine could apply it, that he buys his way out of it somehow, and then you sign an NPA. What do you really want?
I think you hit on something right there.
The Rihanna case was distinct. The NPA was signed in that case because actually Rihanna admitted she started the fight. She punched him in the face consistently as he was driving down the highway and was beating him in the head with metal objects. He pulled over and she continued to beat him. So that started as mutual combat, where arguably, because she was a woman, he should have stopped hitting, he should have stopped defending himself. So that was distinctly different. Now, the Carucci and the other things, can't speak to those. But when the victim says, I started it, I punched him in the face, and when she herself has had other situations of punching a man in the face, then that is a distinct situation. How
do you really believe
All right.
it? Do you really believe it?
Hold on 1 second, please. Hold on. This is what I want to know. Okay, so let's separate ourselves from the Rihanna case and let's go to the multiple other allegations that he's had against him. I think we're on to something. I think that in most of the cases that he's been accused of have been female victims. And I think because they've been female victims that have been put in compromising positions, whether it was dating, partying with him, or doing other stuff that could be viewed as inappropriate. I think that Attorney Brian Ross is onto something. I think possibly he was able to get out of those because he was able to pay it to make it go away or settle it outside of court. All right, because there's a laundry list. You can Google it. There's a laundry list of stuff that he's been accused of as it relates to physical abuse. All right. Now let's move forward to these guys that are now in the courthouse with him. These are men, and one he had a beef with prior, and it was his security guard that let Chris know after the guy came forward and tried to up him for a great concert. The security guard let him know that this is a guy you had beef with early, and that's when Chris went off and then allegedly hit him. So I'm going to go back to my original question, Attorney Brian Ross. If you were representing those guys, what would you have to do in order to make this charge stick?
As a criminal case or a civil case? Money or jail?
It's criminal. It's clearly criminal. It just happened.
The criminal case is purely based upon intent, right? Now, the bigger question is, why is this person who he has a past history with in a place where he can come across him again? But beyond that, right? And the security points him out and he goes ballistic. I was standing here minding my own business. I had nothing to do with it. I was just watching the show like everybody else, if you want to believe that. And he assaulted me through the first punch. And because of that, he should be charged with a crime of battery. That's where I would go with it.
Okay, so charged with a crime of battery, what does it take for him to get convicted of a charge of battery?
The definition of battery is the intentional. I'm sorry, Simone. Go ahead, please. No, go ahead.
No, I said he has to be guilty. He ain't guilty. Continue.
Oh, he's guilty. The crime, he's guilty. The crime of battery, for all of you listeners, is the intentional offensive touching to another person against their will. Listen, I've seen battery charges come from people having intercourse, and one person had a venereal disease and the other person didn't know it. So battery can come in many forms. In this instance, to me, he threw the first punch. You could have walked off stage and your whole crew jumped in, including a 300-pound man. Guess what? You could be charged with battery, and you probably should be charged with battery.
You know what you said? You touched on something, or what I'm seeing right now is something that's very interesting. A woman, a female attorney with a law degree from an Ivy League school, defends Chris Brown. Bailiff, can I see that video of Chris Brown, please? I think that Chris Brown, the reason why he gets off on a lot of his cases. Can I see the video of Chris Brown, please?
The United States Senator.
You gotta laugh. Let me tell you, Judge, there's a commenter here, and I'm gonna find her. I love her comment.
I feel like that the reason why Chris Brown gets off on a lot of his cases are because there are people like Attorney Redwine who thinks that he is an attractive dude, that he can dance, that he's got this appeal, and that they forget all of his bad doings. What say you, Brian Ross?
Rosanna Bibbins, your watcher, says Chris is a talented, good-looking thug. Sad because he's talented. She hit the nail on the head. he probably does get away with a lot of stuff because he can dance. He's talented. But I think that his transgressions are going to catch up to him on this one. I think it's too much. You cannot just beat people up, and it's twice in a short period of time. You got to get rid of that entourage, man. You got to dump it you got to dump it.
Now back to the guilty attorney Red Wine. Can you put Red Wine on the main stage, please? Back to Attorney Red Wine. Attorney Red Wine, with all of your indiscretion that you would like to exercise with him, tell why is it that you feel like he's guilty or not guilty? And he's got a laundry list of offenses.
Okay, now I'll say this. I'll reserve some of my comments from reading the entire complaint because what I don't like to do is like put stuff out there when I don't know all my information. But what it does sound to me is if he has beef with some of these gentlemen, right, that are already there, why are you going to hit a venue you know he's hosting, a venue that you know he's at? You're antagonizing him. And so I think sometimes when you have these softer looking rappers and stuff and singers, that there are other guys who like, I want to make a name for myself. And I'm going to beat Chris Brown. I think they may have come to a fight, and then he just lost. These other guys lost.
No. The story's quite clear. They went to congratulate him. They shook hands. It was amicable in the beginning until Chris was reminded that this was a guy that he had beef with. So even though if you could say antagonizing, it could be antagonizing him by saying great show. I don't know about that of Simone Redwine, but this is what I want to ask next. Where you see how in the Puffy case, the federal government or the prosecutor's office or the attorney general's office took on the case without there being anyone actually there to press a charge. They decided they want to press a charge.
Correct.
Why has no attorney general done this in any of the cases with Chris Brown?
So I'll say with the Houston case, it's just too soon. They're probably investigating as we speak, particularly since one of the gentlemen is still in the hospital. In addition, the attorney for these gentlemen, Tony Busby, is extremely powerful throughout the state of Texas, including, I am sure that Busby is collecting evidence. He's probably, in addition to assisting the cops, making sure they have everything they need, he's probably hired private investigators that are drumming up additional information. Because Tony Busby, if he's able to get charges pressed against Chris Brown, that makes getting this $50 million that he already filed his lawsuit for so much easier.
Got it. All right. Thank you, counselors, for this review.